Hey guys, Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Welcome to the video, guys. How you all doing? Today we're going to go ahead and go through a bunch of questions. It's been about 5 years, maybe even longer, since we've done a Q&A here on the channel. So I thought it'd be fun just to kind of connect to you guys. I'm going to divide this video into half the questions about Clash content and half the questions more on a personal level. That way, you know, if you're not into one of the two of the topics, you can go ahead and avoid that. I will kind of, if you want to scrub this video, I'll have timestamps kind of differentiating both of those categories of questions. Before that, this is going to be a longer video, so we do have an ad, so I appreciate you guys. That will also be timestamped, but I appreciate you guys checking it out. It is a new game called Undawn, so without further ado, let's hear from that, then I'll be back with the questions. But first, today's video is brought to you by Undawn. So I mentioned Undawn a couple months ago to you guys. The game has just been released just last week. What a perfect time to get in on the ground level of a brand new, awesome title. So Undawn takes place in an apocalyptic wasteland, guys. It combines elements of PvE and PvP together in a really cool and really unique, honestly, blend of RPG, open world kind of exploration, and of course that survival element. Before I show you a little bit more of the game, guys, two quick things. Number one is creator code. When you get to level 10 in Undawn, make sure you use my creator code. You can see behind me. I will hook you up with 1,000 silver and you'll get either a black whale baseball cap or a firefly cowboy hat. And number two, for all my aspiring or existing content creator friends out there, there is a creator camp for Undawn. You can get a direct connection to the developer. You'll get in-game resources, you'll get merch, and much, much more. Apply in the link in the description below, guys. Join me in the creator camp. Now, a few of the things that I love about this game, guys. Number one is the character customization. You can even upload your own picture if you want to really give it that, well, super personal touch, obviously, right? Number two is you can survive your own way. There's so many different ways to play this game in this open world environment. It even includes customization for the elements, the weather around you. You can decide if you want to kind of build and hunker down or you want to go fight zombies. You have a lot of kind of autonomy to play this game however you want to. And there's so many different exciting ways to experience Undawn. And also, guys, I just love how expansive this world is. I'm not just talking terrain with jungles and deserts and everything in between, but also your society. We are building a society in this game. So you have to think of, you know, like how you're going to run it. What are the rules? What are the laws? Who are you going to include? Who you're not going to include? How are you going to keep yourself safe? All of that and more inside this game. There's a lot to think about, but it's really exciting in Undawn. And lastly, the firepower, man. This is one of my favorite parts about the game. There are over 50 different types of vehicles. You've got your turrets, you've got bombs, you've got weapons, you've got everything in this game. The variety, most importantly, the variety of this game in terms of arming yourself, well, for the apocalypse is absolutely staggering. So guys, make sure you go ahead and download. Don't forget to use my link. Don't forget to apply for the creator program. And thank you so much, Undawn, for sponsoring today's video. Available for free on iOS, Android, and PC. All right, guys, so I want to start out with kind of a mix, not even questions per se, but just some comments that I thought were interesting from you guys, and then we'll move into the personal, then we'll move into the Clash stuff. So this is kind of a blend to start things off here. We have Devin Conley says, I'm a fan personally of the way level 15 was implemented overall. I like the grind. When I think back to the most fun I had playing the game, it certainly wasn't when I was maxed on everything. I'm glad they've given us a long game progression system that we can constantly be thinking, what should I upgrade next? This, I believe, is the majority of the casual player's thought process. And this is what the update provided. Evolution provided a new way to play and allows for much further expansion. I think the worst thing about Clash Royale is the toxic community. I want to enjoy the game I play and at the end of the day not feel harassed for enjoying something and be fed negativity about it. I want to watch some YouTube videos and check out some Twitter content about the game and see some cool, fun things about the game, not be blasted in the face with negativity and discontentment. Again, it's a mobile game. I choose to see the brighter side of the game because that's the game, because that's what the game certainly can provide, which is a bright spot of my day. So I want to start out with this comment because there's going to be, you know, well, frankly, the last, what, 10 videos on this channel have been on the negative side, on the critical side about the update. So I wanted to start out with a positive note because I always love anything in life, right? I like to explore the, you know, the positive and the negative. I also like to explore different viewpoints on whatever it is in life, right? So I wanted to start out with this, and that goes right to the Clash Royale community manager's point, right? Now, of course, right after it, Chris 2906 says level 15 is a mistake, as it is a mistake, excuse me. So complaining about the upgrading cost and stuff like that, I'm just going to move on. I don't mind level 15 at all. It's the way they execute it is bad. The reason I start out with these three is to show you a positive level 15, a in the middle level 15, and a negative level 15. So you can see, obviously, everybody is going to be different, right? This dude, I'm not sure, Abyss Gaming says, don't harass Drew and Max. They're just the faces of the team. The game lead, Thea, is responsible for these terrible changes. The truth of the matter is, actually, is the entire team is responsible. The way that Supercell teams work is everybody, including the team lead, has equal input on the direction of the game. Even if you're not a game designer, even a community manager has a say in what the next update is going to be. So there's no person that is more or less responsible for these quote-unquote terrible changes, the same changes that we started out by having Devin Conley absolutely love about the game. I will say, though, having an additional voice in addition to Drew and Max will be very, very nice. If you look at, you know, Clash of Clans, we have quite a few voices out there in the community. Same thing with Brawl Stars. Obviously, the game lead of that game, Frank, is very vocal, does field criticism on Twitter, etc., etc. Shreksmith says, many creators said they weren't going to upgrade to level 15 and encourage us all to do the same. But as soon as the update dropped, they all, in all caps, bought the $100 offer from the shop and upgraded all 4 cars' evolutions. Some even maxed out already. I know it's important for the content, but still, we can't keep letting Supercell get away with this, and seeing them do it encouraged at least a handful of people to buy and upgrade them as well. I'm sure. It's just sad to see. If Supercell makes money, they'll never change a thing. So, well, first off, I've not spent a dime in the game in 2023, so I did not buy a $100 offer or any offers or any pastoral or anything like that. As I said, I wouldn't. I haven't upgraded to level 15 either. That being said, though, no begrudge at all. Sorry, allergies are nuts today for me. No begrudging any content creators who do. I don't, frankly, I don't have time to watch a bunch of other channels out there. Maybe I should, but I can't speak to anybody else. I will say, though, that if you're doing daily content on this game, I can imagine it would be difficult, not on the level 15, but it might be difficult on the card evolutions if you don't have them to make content every day. But then again, I can't speak to who vowed not to do something and who did and whatever. But yeah, I can only speak for myself. I have not spent a dime on the game. Personally, it's a personal decision. You know, it's not some big boycott. It's just my own personal choice. Honestly, when it comes down to me, just me as an individual, you know, just kind of wrap that up. I enjoy the game just fine without spending money, you know? I actually really enjoy Path of Legends. That's where I play most of my time in the game. Say hello to the cat, Fern. She's all adult now, all grown up. I remember I asked a few of you guys if I should get a cat like 3 or 4 years ago, and I did, and she's a really good girl. Anyway, usually I lock her out of the studio, but today I forgot to. So, I enjoy the game a lot, just without spending money, without evolutions, honestly, you know? I was one of those weirdos who enjoyed the game a lot before the update. Like, I wasn't craving something new. I just enjoy the game for what it is. And I haven't been spending in a long time, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on much by not spending, personally. Massive Legend 6718. I appreciate you for always being so positive. I also love how wholesome you are in each of your videos. Something I'm critical right now about is mainly CR. I think CRL, not CR, not CRL. Since I can't really progress anymore without paying money, it's frustrating. Well, I just shared my opinion that I feel like I'm not missing out on much by not spending money. Granted, I had spent money, though, and bought the rail passes, you know, the previous years or whatever. So it's not like I've never spent any money on the game, obviously. And yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm not, thank you for saying I'm wholesome. I don't feel wholesome in real life. I just try to look at the positive side of things when I can, you know, when it comes to Clash Royale. Kind of like that very first comment on the video, I just don't let it affect my mental outside of when I'm, making YouTube videos or playing the game or whatever, massive legend. We'll talk more about progression in the game when we get to the CR related questions. But I just wanted to kind of set the table with some sentiments here, some popular sentiments, I should say. Jason Christopher, Ash, can you take some responsibility for the fact that you haven't had a dev on in a while, or at least explain how we can get one on, or we heard the possibility for one for a while. All love. Yeah, sure, I'll take responsibility. I haven't had a dev on the channel for a while. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys on all of these questions, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat anything or pander to anybody. The thing is I asked about 2 years, after Clash Royale, what was that, a year and a half, 2 years ago? I'm losing track of time. I asked if they wanted to come on the channel and talk about that, the controversial Clash Royale, like back in the day, and they didn't respond to me. Now, listen. I'm sure A, they weren't clamoring to come on Clash with Ash's YouTube channel, right? Given everything that was on their plates at the time. And B, they could have just, missed the message or meant to respond. Now, I don't take it like offense by it, right? Anyway, fast forward. Now, it's just like I've done dev interviews even before that. Quite a few of them on the channel, probably dozens, especially on both games, right? And I've learned that after an update like this, I can sit here and, of course I would, ask all the hard questions. And, I don't want to be so cynical and pessimistic about it, but most of the time, you're not going to like their answers, or not going to feel satisfied with their answers. And frankly, you're not going to like my, I feel like a lot of people want me to be like mean, like nasty, like insulting. And I'm not going to satisfy those people either. I feel like there's been a decent amount of communication. You can say anything that you want about this last update and everything, all the criticism, blah, blah, blah. But I do think that one thing is they've been very, very blunt and transparent on their responses, right? Whether you love them or hate them. We talked about this in the last video, right? Max was just like straight up, the reason we're not giving more elite wildcards or making it easier is because we don't want you guys to have any more. We don't want your progression to be faster. Like, that's very blunt. I don't know what else I could get out of them other than that, Like, why? For the money. All right. Ivan the Terrible. That all being said, though, if you guys really, really want a developer interview, I can continue asking and try to make that happen for you guys. Ivan the Terrible 9743. Love the content overall, and it's great to see how other content creators aren't holding back. Well deserved, but fair criticism of Supercell. I know you're trying to switch up your content, and it's definitely refreshing, but I think some of us miss the videos where you bring pros on the channel and play some top ladder or GC. I think once a week is a good balance. Also, bring back the Broken podcast. So, you may or may not noticed that the content, both the views of this channel, the subscriber growth of this channel, the upload cadence of this channel, and this type of content on this channel has all changed pretty dramatically from where it was. TLDR, guys, a few things happened. Number one is every pro in the game has a YouTube channel now. Back when I started, covering Clash Royale, there was no Royale API. There was no Stats Royale, certainly not with the API access of the game. There were no pros with YouTube channels back then at all. So for me, it was easy because there was such a thirst, such a hunger in the community for decks and pro tips. But now it's a three-pronged thing. Number one is almost every good player has a YouTube channel, right? A, so you can just go hear it from them every day. B, I think that the decks in meta and like different types of metas and decks and in archetypes, I think that's very known in the community overall. There's not many new archetypes or new decks. So making a deck of the day video every day or a week is becoming more and more challenging because nothing's really new anymore. It's like, oh, a new hog deck where I change one card. New hog meta, blah, blah, blah. New P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam where you change one card. New P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam, 8 years later. Nah, it's not really fresh anymore. That content isn't as appealing to me as a creator, so I can't imagine it's as appealing to you guys. That all being said, like I'm down to bring back the Broken podcast. I'm not giving up this channel by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just wondering, it's still open question. What am I going to do with this channel in terms of Clash content? More on that later. Synthetic, Ash, please make the gameplay screen bigger. Your borders are way too big on the screen. As a boomer playing the game, makes it very hard to see the map. Actually, I have my artist slowly working on a new overlay that there's nothing. I do have the big because I use an iPad, so that's the biggest like actual size I can get for gameplay on my overlay. But you're right, there's like some like graphical interference, so I'm gonna get rid of all that. Just clean everything super. Is it kind of Molt on his Clash channel? He just has a straight up webcam gameplay, and that's kind of how I want to have it in the future too. Something that really irks me about the update is how they handle removing gems from masteries. The real and obvious reason they removed them is a lot of players had an abundance of gems and have simply hoarded them. This includes me with 18k gems as a free-to-play. A genuine, understandable concern to have. And though I don't agree with the solution to the problem, I can somewhat understand. However, they go out and they say they're doing it for the benefit of players to increase gold because that's what player really wants. That's just disingenuous. 100% agree. It was one of my issues. We made a whole video on this. It was one of my issues with the update, the removing gems from masteries and making it seem like it's a great deal. You know what I'm saying? It's no good. All right, let me get into the personal stuff here, guys, and then we'll get to the Clash stuff. All right, guys, personal questions. Here we go. I'm going to try to move somewhat quickly through these because there's a lot, right? And if I apologize if I didn't get to any of your questions or comments. I apologize. I actually did not read them all. I had my massive shout out to my friend and assistant, Salume. I had her go through and pick ones that were relevant, not too repetitive. And yeah, so we'll see what kind of a job she did. That also means that I have not seen any of these comments at all until I'm reading them live with you guys. All right, so Sarkdarkus says, what has life been like for you and family members during this time where inflation is hitting everyone? Honestly, I got incredibly fortunate. I'm not going to, I don't know what to say, but I got incredibly fortunate the last 10 years of my life, right? Was able to start an amazing company, was able to make some money on YouTube, was able to invest that money somewhat strategically and smartly, right? I made some bad investments along the way too, but a lot of good ones as well. And you just try to be smart. You know, I came into a little bit of money at a time where I was already like 30 years old. You know, I'm not saying that age correlates to responsibility, but at least in my case, it did. I had time to make some mistakes back when I wasn't playing such high stakes. So yeah, TLDR, inflation right now, I'm very, very fortunate to know that it's not affecting me dramatically personally. Do you feel satisfied with your life currently and everything that's happened in it? I actually do. I feel really, really satisfied and grateful. Nothing's ever going to be perfect in life at all, and it's never going to feel perfect. And if you keep hoping that the day that your life feels absolutely 100% perfect and you have everything you want and you've achieved all your goals, then you're not going to be satisfied anymore, right? Because you're going to find a new one. So I feel satisfied. Yeah, I do. Mark says, personal one, can you show us the dynamics between you and your wife? Who's the leader? Who's the main provider of the household? Who's cooking? Who's cleaning? And the other, who loves the other one more? And if you can, after answering, tell us generally how you think these things should be or how they should work in a relationship the best way. Well, I think a relationship's different, obviously. And the relationship is constantly, I don't know. When you start dating someone, it's always super exciting, right? You're always in love, head over heels. That never goes away, right? With age, and then eventually you start reaching this phase where you start seeing the I don't know, it's not the warts, but like things that were endearing before might not be endearing anymore, right? And you start seeing the flaws, I guess, the real true character of somebody, right? And oftentimes for me, what I've learned is those are the times that you can develop the deepest, the true sense of love, right? Is acknowledging those things and accepting those things about the other person. In this world, I feel like, especially in today's age, with internet dating and everything like that, there's always going to be other options out there, right? And it's about really making yourself super comfortable with the decision that you've made and trying to really cultivate that deep love. What is it? Agave or is it agape? I don't know. But it's the, you know, so that's my best advice. And every relationship is different in terms of who does the work and who does whatever. You know, I think it's just important to recognize these things, right? And to be vocal and communicate the obvious stuff, right? I have never been married, so no wife. And the mother of my child, she's a great mom. We've gotten along great, like all the time, right? So very, very thankful and lucky and fortunate to have that sort of relationship with my ex. And the person I'm dating right now is absolutely amazing. And yeah, we don't have that sort of dynamic that it's one person cleaning and cooking and all that other stuff though. So that is, yeah, it's a little bit different for us, but yeah, that's that. Right now though, I have like 50% custody over my son. So I have him half the time. And during that time, I try to make it evening time, like kind of little bit later in the evening, 6 o'clock or so. So then I can try to be done with all my work and just give one-on-one time. I'll tell you what, it's a blessing and a curse to have a kid young, right? Well, I wasn't young, but to split up when they're young. Obviously, it's not ideal, and it was so painful, like one of the most difficult things in my life. However, it's turned out to be such a blessing years and years later now, 5 years later, that it's such a unique, dynamic relationship, me and my son, and I'm sure for his mom too, where when we're with him, it's just us two. That's it. That's it. And it gives you time to just zero in and focus and just really cultivate a unique relationship with a kid. So I think it's like I said earlier, like satisfied in life. It's not ideal and it's not the norm, certainly, but it's been an amazing blessing in a lot of ways as well, even though I do miss the hell out of him when I don't have him. Ever think about how your life would be if you stayed at the post office? So back before YouTube, I worked at the post office. I was a mailman for 15 years. You ever miss the simplicity and, of course, the shorts? Well, I still rock the shorts almost every day, right? The simplicity, I do miss, honestly. Back when I worked at the post office, most people did not like the job. It was very toxic, very toxic. A lot of union management pressure and friction every day. But I enjoyed it, man. I had a walking only route, so I would just walk all day with a mail cart, and listen to audiobooks. I basically self-educated throughout 15 years, every day. Audiobooks, lectures, the great courses, anything I can get my hands on that interested me. Very, very curious person by nature, so that's what I did. And that, for me, made the post office a very enjoyable experience, just listening to stuff all day. Our Galligan Island, we have Ash, can you describe some of the valuable lessons you learned from being a dad? And what opinions of the type of dad you wanted to be, or lessons that you wanted to instill before fatherhood have changed or not changed? From a long-time viewer and soon-to-be dad myself, congratulations in advance. Well, everybody says that being a dad's going to change your life or being a parent's going to change your life, and it certainly was for me. I was a dad pretty old. I think I was 36 when I had, or for 35, 35. Let me do some math here. 34. Okay, so I keep getting younger. I was 34 when I had my son, and honestly, I wasn't sure at that time in my life if it was in the cards for me. I was like, okay, maybe I might not have a kid. I kind of always pictured a family or whatever. But yeah, valuable lessons. Don't concern yourself so much with what everybody else thinks or society thinks. Sometimes you just do what you think is the right thing to do, Number two is talk to your child. Talk, listen, Don't bark out commands. Don't ignore. The worst thing is, I'm so judgmental, but there's nothing wrong with some screen time, obviously, on a kid or anything like that. But people who, I'm going to sound like such an old curmudgeon here and such a judgmental prick, but people who just throw an iPad at a kid and just there, be occupied, oh, that bothers me, man. I like having conversations, even if they're 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, conversations, get into what they're interested in, talk, I think the best thing you can give is your full attention and your time to your child. It sounds simple, but that's how I really feel about it. You want to just get down your hands and knees and play with them for a couple hours, imagine with them and make believe and all that stuff, it really, really cultivates a super strong relationship, and it's what really matters the most to me, quality time, really, so that's that. Next up, we have, do you own any Nintendo consoles? Yeah, I have Nintendo, NES 8-bit. Some of you might remember that. Some of you might not. I think it's in 1985. And then I have a Super Nintendo, right? I have Nintendo 64, and then I have Nintendo Switch. No GameCube. All right, pancakes or waffles? Waffles. I do like French toast, though, I would say, over both. Green. How many kids do you have and how they change your life? I would like to hear a wholesome story. Sure. I have one child. His name is Charlie, and he changed my life more than anything else. He came to me in my life during a real time of struggle, man. You guys probably already know. I've mentioned this quite a bit, or a lot of you guys know, but I had just lost my brother, and he was only 29 years old. And it was the most challenging thing in my life. A few years previous to that, I lost my mother, and I started to fall into a depression of sorts, and really just wayward, I guess. And I went from somebody who was always stressed out to someone who was incredibly apathetic and nihilistic about life, So then my kid came along, and everything changed. Really wholesome story. I was in bed. This is my favorite moment ever with my kid. It was only a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I was in bed with him. We were just kind of cuddling up, and I forgot what we were even talking about. We were just talking in bed, just cuddled up, right? He snuck into my bed, and I was just I forgot what I said to him, but I forgot. But all I know is that we've been working with him to try to convey his emotions a bit more. He's a very shy, quiet kid, right? So he just said, looked at me, and he was just Dada, I love this. And that was like the coolest freaking thing in the world. And right there, in that very moment, like those are the type of things that, like, not to be so morbid about it, but like that's the type of moment that I'll remember my whole life and I'll think about like on my deathbed, right? All right, Stefan. What were your inspirations to become such a talented host, interviewer, YouTuber? Well, I don't think I'm very talented, but I'm here. Everybody come on your TV show always feels so welcome by you. Yeah, sure. I mean, like I said about earlier, I listen to so much audio content, more than I think probably anybody. I don't know. I've been listening to podcasts for pretty much podcasts or audio books, excuse me, for pretty much, I don't know, on average, like 12 hours a day, every single 6 days a week for 15 years. And then even before that, and even after that, even now, I'm always listening. I'm always consuming. It's my favorite thing in terms of things to do, is listening to audiobooks and podcasts. Yeah. So anyway, I listen to a lot of good hosts, a lot of good interviewers, a lot of good YouTubers, and I've just tried to take a little bit from all of them. I like the cadence of like a Dan Carlin. I like the interview style of like a Sam Harris. I like, yeah, I don't know. I like so I guess I pick up a little bit here and there, I got a long way to go, obviously, but that's kind of, those are my inspirations is a tough one. But in terms of inspirations, though, I do like, this is kind of a real kind of corny one or whatever, but I do really think that Fred Rogers, Jim Henson, like the Children's Television Workshop, and Muppets, et cetera, the way those guys can create has always been a massive inspiration for me. Anne Frank, I think, is just the most inspiring story, or one of, out there, an amazing book to read. And Helen Keller as well. I think that, like, geez, in the endless sea of Helen Keller jokes and memes and everything, like, which is awful, I think, she's really, truly the most inspiring person, I feel like, maybe ever, being deaf and blind, but living such an amazing and fulfilling and rewarding life is truly inspiring. Next up, we have Muhammad. I've been a fan for as long as I can remember. I always wanted to know, how do you find peace and understanding in every situation that you find yourself in? Oh, man, thank you. I don't find peace and understanding in every situation I find myself in. That's the answer. I don't. I mean, listen, I'm flattered that you think that, and I always try to look at things positive if I can, but I'm also a passionate person. I'm also an emotional person. I also have a little bit of a temper at times, so it's not just a little bit. I'm not like crazy or anything, but like, so when you're passionate a person about things, you can get like, you're not always peaceful, is what I would try to say, right? So I don't have peace and understanding in every situation, but as the great Marcus Aurelius said, right, like, you have the power to, I'm butchering the quote basically, but like, it's something to the effect of, you get to decide how you feel about any situation, right? You have the power of control over any situation, how things affect you. It's not the things, it's how you process the things, right? So I think through meditation and things like that, and just mindfulness, I think that you can get there as well. Or you can strive to get there. Red Machine. Sorry, I've talked about this in the video. I missed it. I haven't played Clash Royale for a year now, but I still watch your videos because I want you to do well. Thank you, man. You don't have to do that, but thank you. I also want to see what a mess they're making the game lately. You mentioned this is no longer being your job a few videos ago. What are you doing instead? I've seen a lot of old Clash YouTubers completely fall off. Can you see yourself dropping the game completely or moving to something else? So for the last 4.5 years, my real full-time job, I started a business. It's called Aftershock Media Group. You can check us out at amg.gg. So me and my co-founder, you might know him as Powerbank Gaming. He started out in Clash Royale. His real name is Lance. We have now a massive roster of over 100 talent exclusively, but we work with about 1,000 talent. A lot of Clash creators here that we still represent. We got Shane, we got Cashman, KFC, a bunch of other dudes that we met along the way. A lot of Minecrafters, a lot of FPS games, and et cetera, et cetera. But we do much, much more than that, right? We have a full production team. We work with geez, dozens and dozens of game developers. We work with Supercell, we train some of their community managers. We also, like, their external different languages. We also have a creator program with Supercell right now. We work with Tencent. We work with almost every big game publisher out there. Community services, influencer programs, creative marketing, big campaigns, live events, online events, you name it. We have this amazing team. At this point, there's me and Lance, right? At this point, our team is massive, and it's all the credit goes to all these individuals, right? Because and you might notice a few of these are all full-time employees that we have. So like I said, a big team. Let me try to pick out a couple that you guys might recognize on the squad. This is Lady Pink Panther, Christy. We have Carrie, who is Mighty Mouth. She was a PUBG Mobile. We have Format, who is a content creator. We have Koopa, who's a long-time, old-school Clash of Clans, Joshua, but Koopa Troopa, he was an old-school Clash of Clans content creator on Twitch. Now he still does Summoner's War, a variety of other games. We have Brandy, who does PUBG Mobile. We have so many. Now that I look, I'm not going to be able to name everybody here, but we have Bailey's dad, Adrian. He's a Clash Royale short content creator. We have, who am I forgetting here? I know we have a few other creators. We have Echo, or Eric, Echo Through Me. We have Luke, who's Conrad. He owns like Clash Champs, the esport org, and the websites. Quite a few others too. I know we have Full Frontage just joined the team as well, Nick. So yeah, we have a big team. Awesome people, right? We have, anybody remember Riley? Bailey OP was his YouTube channel name. He did a lot of Reddit stuff, Clash Royale content creator for a few years. So anyway, that's what I do full time. So we started this company almost 5 years ago now, and we're still going incredibly strong. And it's really the reason we started this company is because we knew we were getting up there in age, and we weren't going to be relevant on YouTube, Lance and I, forever, right? So we're like, okay, what can we do? We have this network, we have this platform. How can we leverage it to create something amazing long term? And that's what we kind of did. So again, we have like the best crew there ever. It's so grateful, so fortunate. What are your thoughts on the Marcus Smart Porzingis trade? I like the trade. I'm a big Boston Celtics fan. I won't spend a lot of time because God knows how many sports fans we have here watching, or NBA, but I like the trade. I think we need to switch things up. Smart has a massive contract, and let's give Tatum and Brown a chance to shine. Very sad that Grant Williams is gone, though. I was a big fan. Ash, I always look forward to watch your videos. Stay updated on CR. We have a few content creators here in Italy covering the game, but I personally love your touch and the fact that you are always a bit more to do than just the game. I hope you keep at it. Here's my question. Have you ever thought about stopping making videos on CWA? Someone else asked that too, so I'm glad you reminded it. No. I don't plan on ever stopping making videos on this channel. There might be a week or two, who knows, maybe even a month that goes by without a video at some point in the future, but I don't think, I put so much time and effort into this channel that even if it's not making videos that ever get views, I have the channel Chat with Ash, right, interview people. I flirted with the idea sometime in the future, not any immediate, because I still play Clash Royale, but the day that I don't play Clash Royale, if that day ever comes, maybe just doing interviews here instead with other Clash or other Supercell content creators, But I have not thought about stopping to cover Clash Royale right now because honestly, here's the thing, guys. Clash Royale is still a great game, And like, I'm old enough to know, frankly, I'm old enough to know that like, I don't care how annoying the game is or how whatever money grabbing the game is or whatever bad direction the game's going. If you put yourself in my shoes, I'm still playing video games on YouTube. Like, it's not that strenuous or stressful, and I enjoy doing it. So, like, who cares? It always cracks me up. I'm not trying to take shots at anybody, but I guess I am in a way. But I'm not thinking of anybody as I'm saying this. But there's been like YouTubers that have come and gone that are just like, I'm not passionate about the game, so I can't do it anymore. I'm quitting YouTube or whatever. And it's just like, dude, you make content on a stupid video game for a living, Suck it up, man. Like, how many people out there don't like their jobs? Anyway, that would be my dream job when I was a kid, So I don't have any intentions in stopping, no. And frankly, I had an ad on today's video, right? As you guys already are aware of. And those ads, like if I do like one or two of those ads, I know some of you hate them and I apologize, but you can always fast forward, when I do those ads, if I can just do like 2 a month, like 2 of those like 2-minute ads and videos, it makes it so like this is great, like side hustle, side income. I don't make much money off of actual ad revenue anymore because I don't upload enough and I don't get the views anymore. But those ads can pay, like that one ad in today's video, for example, like that will be way more than I get from creator code in addition to the monthly YouTube ad revenue combined just off one ad. So that's why I do them, you know? I do that, not to say it's a ton of money, but I'm just saying it's more, that speaks to how little I get from the other two, right? I'm a 19-year-old viewer, says Conrad's, and I have a younger brother with autism who means the world to me and teaches me so many similar life lessons to that you brought up. My dad is not the most supportive, and I feel like the brother and the father to him can be very stressful to balance my own needs as a 19-year-old student. Do you have any advice on how I can best support him in achieving his best life while also giving him the freedom and independence that he deserves? I know this is a very personal question for Clash Royale YouTube, but I always respect your advice. Thanks for all you do. Thanks, Conrad. So I was in a similar position. I mean, my dad is great, but like we're not like ultra close or whatever, but around that age, around like 19, 20 years old, I also noticed myself transitioning from kind of a brother, a sibling, to my autistic brother, to somewhat of a parental role. Actually, it probably started a lot earlier than that in kind of high school, but then it just got more and more extreme. So, and then I transitioned to where I was almost all a parental figure, a caretaker type person to my brother. My brother was 29 when he passed away, but he was, you know, he probably had like a 7-year-old disposition, interest, everything like that, a behavior for his entire life. So my advice is, it kind of comes back to the kid thing in a way. It's just like, give them, when you're with him, you don't have to be with him 24/7, but when you're with them, you know, listen to what they have to say and actually talk. You know, I've been at so many group homes. I used to be on the board of directors with an organization called the ARC, which is a massive, massive organization all over North America that provides services and lobbying and legal support and everything else in between to families with intellectual disabilities and individuals. And the biggest thing that I saw in group homes and in family members and everything was people, again, not taking the actual emotional bandwidth and time to simply sit down and really listen to what these people are saying, you know, really and truly engage with them. Because you can tell, everybody can tell, right? A lot of times it was just kind of like just saying stuff to say stuff and not really listening to the answers or whatever. It's a very tough thing to support a sibling like their parent, but also give them the space to your extent. And everybody's so different. Every situation is so different that it's very, very tough to give you a one-size-fits-all answer. However, just being there, being present, and talking, being an advocate, right? Being an advocate, always being in the conversation. You can have your own life and not let taking care of them, you know, take over your life too. And at the same time, you can always, with your parents or whatever, right? You can always insist with their teachers, with their group home, wherever your brother's at. You can continue to make yourself part of the conversation, right? And you can apply to be a guardian as well. That way you can have a legal right to be a part of those conversations. Not the best answer. Obviously, the best answer is just show love, you know, and do the best you can. But it's also kind of, you know, I feel like it wasn't a very great one, but best of luck. Porio. I'm a newish viewer. Found your channel about 6 months ago. So I'm still getting new viewers, huh? That's crazy. My dad was run over and tragically lost his life. So sorry. It really touches me. It really feels amazing to watch your videos and hear those questions about how we, the viewers, are doing. It cheers me up when I'm feeling down, and you have actually had a great impact on my mental health. Well, thank you. There's no question there, but I'm so incredibly, incredibly sorry for your tragic loss. And yeah, I mean, that's what I try to do here. That's the biggest reason I'm not going to stop this channel, right? Is because I like connecting with the you know, handful, whether it's 10 or 100 or 1,000 of you guys who this does provide some sense of, you know how like some sorts of content you can consume and you might not even love it or the subject matter, but it's just kind of a comfort spot. I've gotten enough comments to that extent about me, which feels so bizarre, but I feel that way about some stuff too. So I can kind of understand that. And that's one of the reasons I don't feel like I'm ever going to go anywhere. Yetsik. Do you find yourself having bad anxiety, always worrying about the next problem or thing to deal with in your life? If so, how do you deal with it? I did for about 30 years of my life, maybe 35 years. And then enough bad things happened to me that I was just like, you know what, screw it. I told you guys earlier that I had that period of apathy and nihilism. And in a way, it was very, very bad, obviously, for my mental. But in a way, it allowed me to finally release. And you know what it is like ever since I was the age, I was one of those kids that was like afraid of dying and the unknown and everything at the age of like 8 or something, you know? And then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I had all these existential struggles my entire life, through my teens, into my 20s, into my early 30s. And eventually it's just like, you know what? And I say this all the time on YouTube, on my videos here, especially on my other channel, but I should say it more often. That things that once in a while you just recognize the things that I stressed out about when I was 16 and 17, and 18 and 19 and 20, and all like I don't even remember them anymore. You know, those things that felt like the end of the world, those things that gave me the most source of a sense of anxiety in my life. I don't even like, they're not even a blip on my radar. No matter what you're going through, like almost always in a month or a year or heck, even a few days, you just get back to feeling all right again, you know? Unless you're in like a deep, obviously, depression, which is a bit different. And obviously there's different ways to deal with that as well, talking to people. But in terms of just like being an anxious person in general, oftentimes more so than medication, I feel like some people really do need medication, but I also feel like we're the most over-medicated generation ever, right? Especially for mental issues. And again, some people absolutely need it. I'm just saying that it's weird. It's a weird correlation to see that mental issues are skyrocketing at the same time as treatment is. Shouldn't be that way. If treatment is skyrocketing, it should be at least leveling out at some point. It's certainly not. Of course, there's other factors like social media, blah, 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 that all play in the same timeline. But anyway, I guess for me, part of it is just like, yeah, man, anxiety doesn't do any good. You know, what's going to happen is going to happen. And if you want to be anxious about it, go ahead, but you don't have to be, you know. Retired. Hey, Ash, have you considered making playthroughs of other games like Zelda? You know, I have, but not on this channel. If I've learned one thing through, 10 years on YouTube almost, it's you don't cover other games unless there's a really, really tight correlation, like Clash of Clans and Clash Royale, for example. Same developer, same IP, stuff like that. It's very difficult because without going into the nitty-gritty of YouTube, it's click-through rate, right? Like how does... There's a few factors that will dictate how many views my videos get, right? But let's just say I put out this video and they blast it to all my subscribers. And let's just say that 4% of you guys click on it, right? They're going to start recommending that less and less and less and less over time. And then they're going to start recommending it less and less and less to other audiences over time. So what I'm saying is, if I put out something that's like off the wall, kind of like this video maybe, right? It's probably going to get less views because it's going to stop recommending it because people aren't clicking on it, right? If I upload a Zelda walkthrough, right? My player base that's all interested in Clash Royale, my viewer base, the majority of them, some of them will like it, sure, but the majority won't, and that will just start killing everything about my channel, right? It would usually take like maybe a year of uploading to get those views back up. So I'm not going to do it on this channel if I ever do anything like that. And frankly, right now, because of the reasons I already outlined, I have, 3 active YouTube channels. I have a son. I have a relationship. And I also, I value a little bit of free time with what I have left, right? And I have the business, right? So I don't have time to do anything else in terms of content. I like ice cream. Do you? I do like ice cream, yeah. I like moose tracks. I like peanut butter. I'm a big peanut butter dude. So I like chocolate peanut butter. I like anything with peanut butter. All right. We got Cool Caleb. Do you plan to move to another game? Never say never, but I have no immediate plans to move to another game. This is kind of a stretch. Do I think that you put... This is kind of a stretch. But have you ever put so much time and effort into a project that you almost start to hate it and feel painful to do it on a daily basis? I'm converting an old Fire to electric and hate everything about it. It's just miserable. Do you feel the same way about any projects? How do you deal with it? Oof. God. What's my favorite car? I don't have a favorite car, sorry, but I do. I'm a Jeep guy. I love my Jeep. Have a Rubicon. I have a hybrid Rubicon. I really like it. So what? I guess I don't really feel that way because I love the power of distraction, my man. Going back to the post office, right? I listen to audiobooks all day. So if I was working on converting an old Firo to electric, which I don't know exactly what that means, I would listen to a really awesome audiobook that I was really could sink my teeth into, you know. I love biographies. So I listen to like every presidential biography, every, not even just US, like everything I can find. I love controversial people's biography. I like everything, you know. I mentioned Jim Henson and Fred Rogers and stuff like those are some of my favorites as well. So I just love, I'm finishing up right now Ulysses S. Grant. So I just love that stuff, right? But whatever you love, doesn't matter what it is, I would listen to that. And if it wasn't an audiobook or whatever, a podcast, I would listen to music, you know. Music is the other thing that I'm listening to all the time. So it's not a great answer, but how do I get through projects? Listening, distracting myself with something really good. Recently lost my grandma this summer, the first death I've been alive to experience in my family. I was super close to her and was lucky enough to know her as well as I did with no regrets, but it's still an emotionally and mentally distressing time for myself and my family. Do you have any tips or techniques to deal with grief or bad news? Watching your Clash videos, but you also more personalized heart-to-heart pieces have always been a source of immense comfort to me, and your ability to maintain a positive outlook through every video inspires me. Well, thank you, and so sorry for your loss as well, Renegade. There is no easy solution or an easy fix on losing a loved one. You just kind of got to go through it and go through the process. People will tell you that, you know, time will heal all wounds. Haven't found that to be the case with me personally. I lost my mom now over 10 years ago. And, man, I remember every single day around her death, every single day around her diagnosis, vividly, you know, and that pain is still vivid. And, frankly, and the same thing with my brother, you know, and frankly, it does maybe get a little bit easier to contend with in the day-to-day. It's not crippling grief, obviously. But there's also this kind of line of demarcation when you lose somebody in your life, where your life is just never going to be the same. You know, whether it's your grandmother, whether it's your spouse, it doesn't matter. Your life is going to change. You know, it might change dramatically, it might change in a subtle way. But I think accepting that, there's actually I think it's called On Death and Dying, a book that kind of helped me out quite a bit. I think, especially when you're grieving, at least for me, I think actually allowing yourself to be sad, to grieve, to not talk to people, like whatever you want to do, not judging yourself so much, not being so hard on yourself, and and then try your very, very, very hardest to honor their memory, right? In really trying to cultivate those things that you loved about them or that they loved about you, right? And trying to stay strong in that regard. Try not to let yourself slip into a deeper, darker, you know, spiral or depression. The thing about it is, when I die, and this is how you can look at the death of your grandma as well. When I die, I truly, truly want it to be like a happy time. I don't want to bum everybody out, you know? I want people to remember the way that I touched them in their life. I really, truly do. I want people to almost celebrate, you know, rather than be like depressed or down or anxious. So we can take that same sentiment and apply that to loved ones that we lost. We can remember the good times, remember the good things, the good qualities, and try to exude those yourself as well. Next up, we have, how do you manage work in Clash Royale? Importantly, how do you take the time out of your busy schedule? For family, I outlined this a little bit earlier, but basically I spend all my time with the kiddo at night, and it's just like only Charlie time. Maybe I'll sneak away and upload really quickly. Other than that, I just try to be as efficient as possibly can. I wake up early every day. I go to the gym super early. I get back to the office. I try to record for both of my channels all in a few hours, you know, and then I can work my day job, on the business all day and all afternoon, and then pick up my kiddo at 6. And that's how I do it. Am I divorced? I'm not. As a new father, what's your favorite memory? I shared that earlier. I love this, Dada. No matter what happens in each of your games, do you feel a commitment to them? No, I don't feel like a big commitment to Clash Royale or anything like that. I think that, raid, nor raid, you know, I just enjoy the games, really. I don't feel a commitment. I feel a commitment somewhat, maybe like a moderate commitment to you guys in some senses. but nothing dramatic. I just do it because I want to do it, you know? Noah says, Ash, what should I do when I feel like all the odds are against what I want to do? Like, I'm passionate about the stuff like I like, but I feel like the world is against my plans. What would you do? All you can do is try your best, man. I know it's a lame answer, but all you can do is the best you can do and be satisfied with giving your best at something, right? If the odds are against you, if you really want something in life, all you can do is put yourself in the position, right, to be lucky, to be fortunate, right? That's all we can do. That's all we have control of. So hard work, man. It's a lot of hard work, and trying to keep a positive outlook, right? You don't give a lot of extra context, you know, like the stuff that you're passionate about. Is it work related? Is it money related? Is it personal? So it's tough to say, but you know, I have individual, like, I guess, tips for each of those areas. But those are questions for another day. I found about your raid channel from one of your sponsored raid ads. I've been watching it since Ninja dropped. Which channel is more of your focus right now, in your opinion, or more successful in your opinion? It doesn't have to be money. It can be any way you define it. Definitely the raid channel. So I still upload daily on the raid channel because, frankly, I find it easier to make content for that game. It's still in a spot on that game where the community is amazing. The creators are amazing. It's not like all positive vibes, but there's a little bit more positive vibes in Clash Royale right now. And I have like a really good cadence of content, right? I have no shortage of ideas. Whereas on Clash right now, I don't have like as many amazing ideas for new content because it's a lot later in the life cycle. And as I said earlier about those other creators and stuff like that, it's a little bit different, you know? I know as you start taking actions to better your life, what started those decisions? Well, I'm always trying to be a better person, right? Always trying to do the best I can be, as I said earlier. So it was nothing dramatic, no big spark that lit that fire. Always just trying to be a better person, always trying to take care of myself better, take care of my loved ones better. And I'm nowhere near perfect. I got a long, long way to go, but trying to do the best I can, right? Made a lot of mistakes in life, trying to learn from them, trying to get better. That's basically it. Let's move on to the Clash questions, guys, before this video is like 3 hours long. Be right back. All right, guys, so let's field some Clash Royale questions before we end this mammoth-sized video. All right, in the long run, says Big Bobo, sorry. In the long run, how will level 15 impact Clash Royale? Do you think people are losing trust in Supercell, as I am? Well, I mean, you just said it yourself. Of course, people are losing trust in Supercell. I don't think there's any way around that or sugarcoating it. Do I think the level 15 will impact Clash Royale dramatically? Not really, because it looks like the spending and the popularity of the game, well, it's still kind of plateauing, maybe a slight downhill. So yeah, sure, it will affect it in that regard. But there certainly hasn't been any cliff in terms of mass exodus of daily active users or anything that I've seen so far. So I don't know. The future of Clash Royale. Well, Clash Royale, as I alluded to on the last question, it's the player base is still massive, like massive. I don't know in terms of, the one weird thing about Clash Royale is they don't do much marketing. It's kind of a Supercell thing, right? They've done their one-offs or two-offs here or there. They had Jimmy Fallon play Clash Royale, They've done some stuff with some celebrities here and there. But I love for them to do some more marketing, some more aggressive marketing, which they've never really done. It's never really been their style. But I've always seen from other developers, I've always seen pretty good ROI on a really robust marketing campaign. So the future of Clash Royale, I don't think the game's going anywhere. I certainly think it will be around for a 10-year anniversary. I would put big money on that. Next, will they cycle through a lot of players? Absolutely, Wanted to know what you think about two major problems in Clash Royale that needs to be addressed besides card balancing. In my opinion, the obvious thing we need is a fix to level 15, which should be at a minimum be dropped from 50k wildcards to 15k, and books should be triple in value. These are non-negotiable. Besides that, the other major change is to clan wars. Specifically, the frequency and lack of choice. Wars happen too frequently for casual players to keep up with, and there's no easy way to opt out. With some reward adjustment, at least 15% cards and gold increase, I can see clan wars happening every other week with race matchmaking depending on whether a player stays in a pop-up the day before the war starts. They want to join the war. Okay, so Clan Wars, I have no great ideas. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Clash King, but I don't play in Clan Wars, right? I'm by myself in a clan, womp womp. So I can't really speak to what could be done to fix Clan Wars. If I did, I would just be making stuff up, honestly. Yeah, sure, they can improve a lot of stuff. Level 15, though, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but it doesn't sound like they're going to be dropping the cost anytime soon. Just reading through context clues, they did say that after some, a period of time and looking at the data, which has also become like a meme henceforth, they might bring down the cost. Again, personally, I would not hold my breath, especially from 50K to 15K. Never gonna happen. I don't think, I love to be proven wrong, but I hate to say it, but these non-negotiables, I don't think they're going to come to fruition. I think you're going to be disappointed. Next up, what are your thoughts on Boom Royale? No thoughts. I have not played it, so no big thoughts, but I heard it was kind of fun. Any of you guys? Might try it out at some point in the future on this channel. How do you feel like your career will be impacted by the changes like these by Supercell? I don't think it will be impacted at all. As I mentioned before, I've talked a lot in the personal segment of this video, but for those of you who skipped to this portion of the video, not my main job. It is a nice kind of side income here and there, doing ads on videos like today's, but ultimately I do this channel because I want to. I don't think that even if the game's popularity declines extremely more than it has, I don't really think that it's impacted my career personally, because my career has shifted to other games as well as Clash Royale and to the business side of things, more of the behind the scenes side of things. What has been your least favorite Clash Royale update? Probably this one. Honestly, for me, I don't get, like I said earlier, I don't get like super upset, like ruin my day, ruin my week, ruin my year. You think I might as a content creator for the game, but I don't out of updates, out of game things, I don't let them get to me at all. That being said, I cover the news and I share my opinion, but my opinion does not affect, my overall like happiness or anything like that. So when I look at my least favorite Clash Royale update, what I'm doing is I'm judging it on the community sentiment, because I hate when everybody's pissed off all the time. I hate that I can't even say anything about Clash Royale. Similar to the very first comment that led off this entire video. I hate that I can't even be positive or just play a game or do anything or retweet a Clash Royale thing without just a flood of negativity coming at me. So that means a lot of you guys are pissed off. So we can correlate that directly to the last update. And I've never seen the community this angry. So the last one's my least favorite for all those reasons. For good reason, right? I mean, we've been through it a lot. The Joker. What are your thoughts on the new Dark Elixir feature that will be coming later this year? And what do you rate the last update from a 1 to 10? Oof. You're talking to somebody who doesn't have any of the card evolutions on his account. I have no level 15 cards. So all I played for card evolutions, frankly, is a couple of the challenges, or 3 of the challenges. So my thoughts are the evolutions were probably they seem a little powerful, but at the same time, I think they're meant to be a little powerful, frankly, So I would say that like they hit me as like maybe a 7 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10. I haven't played them enough to give a true grade. And then the level 15 thing and all the changes that came along with it, removing gems from masteries, everything, right? And it's hard not to even rope past Royale revamp into this one as well. I think that brings it from like a 6 or a 7 down to like a 3 or a 4. All right. Does getting less views than you used to upset you? Or are you okay with what's going on and focus more elsewhere? Thanks for the great content. It's so funny, man. Harkening back to one of the earlier comments about like how not to let things stress me out. In the beginning, views really upset me, and it wouldn't have to be like an overall trend. Normally I was trending up for the first, 6 years of YouTube, right? But if one video like got way less than normal views, like I would be stressed about it. I would always be Chicken Little, the world is falling, the sky is falling. Like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? And now, ironically, right? Now, 9 years into YouTube, when that actually is happening to me on this channel for the last year, views going from, I used to average 150,000 views per video. Now it's probably around 40 or 50,000. I don't know. doesn't even register anymore. You know, it's so funny because it stressed me out that this day would come, that the channel would be in decline. And now the day is here and I don't care. I mean, of course I care. Like, of course I would love to be getting hundreds of thousands of views. But again, it doesn't bother with me. It doesn't bother me because I have enough else going on. And that's the whole reason I started the company. The whole reason I started another YouTube channel on other games is because I wanted to hedge my bets a little bit. And I don't want to put all my proverbial eggs in one basket. Average Canadian Thai. Why don't you do videos where you do play-by-play of viewer-submitted battles? People are proud of their big wins. Well, I'll be frank, because I don't think many people would care to watch other people's battles. I could be wrong, but it sounds fun. But then when you're watching mediocre game, me comment, and I'm not saying you're mediocre, you might be an all-star player. I'm just saying that it would be a lot of work to go through all the replay submissions and then try to find matches where I think are worth watching. Is there what's a storyline there? Because YouTube is all about trying to tell a story, you know? So I just think it's maybe a little bit easier said than done. I'm always down to try it though, because I'm in full experimentation mode. What deck do you play? Golem all year. So I play Golem, Night Witch, Phoenix. I'll pull up the deck while I read the next question here. All right. If you could create any card in Clash Royale, what would it be? Also, Supercell decided to give you complete control of the game. What changes would you make and implement to make the game better? Well, if Supercell gave me complete control over the game, I imagine I would still fall prey to their fiscal demands, aka whatever goals they need to hit in terms of revenue generation. So I don't know what changes I'd be able to make, because it'd be easy to pander to you guys and be like, I'm just going to delete I'm going to get rid of flow 15 and do everything, you know? So with that caveat, you know, I can tell you the card, right? First of all, my deck is, can you see that? Can you see that, guys? There you go. Pump, E-Drag, Night Witch, Bar, Barrel, NATO, Phoenix, Lumberjack, Golem. My card, I've been saying this card for so long, it might be the worst idea ever, but I think it's interesting. It would be called Cannibalize. And it does damage to your tower, and that's it. It costs 0 elixir. It does damage to your tower. Why would it be so OP? Why would you want a 0 elixir card that does damage to your tower? Because it would essentially allow you to have a 3-card cycle in your deck without a champion. And the downside would be you do damage to your own tower. The upside would be it would be the fastest way to cycle cards ever, right? I don't know if it would work in practicality, but it sounds cool. All right, next. Doris Shannon, do you think we should see more dilemma videos or things like the Broken Podcast more often? I personally really enjoy the longer type videos, so I'm sure there are a lot of people who would agree that they miss it. Yeah, absolutely. I can still do the dilemmas and the Broken. Those are 2 things that I want to continue doing, so absolutely. And this is a longer video too, so I hope you like it. What card evolution would you like to see next and why? Ooh, interesting. What do you guys think a building card evolution would be like? It might be the dumbest idea known to man. Because, like, of course, what I want to say is, like, I'm sick of the common. I want to see, like, a legendary. So I guess fitting in my deck, I would like to see a Night Witch. Boom. I still remember the days that Night Witch was super OP, broken, added to the game, and I kind of miss them in a weird, twisted, demented way. So I kind of want to see that Night Witch just like spawning bats out the wazoo or whatever. I don't know what she would do, but I want to see it. So I go Night Witch. Plus I play her in my deck too. Yeah, there you go. Next. Oh, I was going to say building, maybe the Inferno Tower. What does it do? Multi-Inferno Tower? Come on, Multi-Inferno? How often do you play CR? These days, I probably play, on average, 7 minutes a day. 2 matches a day on average. I think like a lot of casual-ish players, sometimes I'll play for like 20 minutes straight, maybe a half an hour straight, maybe a little bit longer. Other days, I won't play. So it kind of evens out. Let's see. Oh, that's it? Nope. Okay. What happened to the original Clash Royale dev team? Well, they made millions of dollars and rode off into the sunset. I mean, I think that's kind of it. You know what I'm saying? I do remember, I want to be careful here because I don't want to say anything that's inaccurate. But I do remember, this is years ago, after like the entire team was gone, essentially the original Clash Royale team. And this wasn't the case for everybody, of course. But I remember like going to look up the old game, the team lead and stuff like that, and a couple more of the senior members. And it was clear that they cashed. I mean, I'm not saying it was clear they cashed in, meaning that I'm sure they're still working and stuff. They're not like just being lazy. But it was clear that they were making enough money to have them set for life off of 1 year of Clash Royale development. So maybe they moved on to something else. I don't know. I really have no idea. But obviously, some of them did pretty well. Probably not all, but some. The ones that had the shares in Supercell, right? I've always had a problem with the way Supercell designed Clash Royale from day one. Specifically, the fact that progress is heavily tied to your level, and level can be bought. I feel like Path of Legends came so close to trying to fix the problem, but they still increase the level cap as you rise through the ranks. So at a certain point, you'll run into the situation where you're automatically disadvantaged, which is obviously unfair. What do you think Supercell could do to fix this problem while still making profit for themselves and staying in business? Frankly, and they're trying it right now, right? They're trying it with banners. They're trying it with whatever animated banners, more cosmetics. You look at games like the #1 mobile game, like 8 years running in terms of revenue, is PUBG Mobile. There's nothing you can spend in that game. Granted, totally apples and oranges, FPS game, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing you can spend for any sort of a strategic or competitive advantage. It's all cosmetics, and they still make a bundle off that game. So always trying to bring in awesome, enticing new cosmetics that cost money will slowly allow them to take away some of those things that you pay for a competitive advantage or pay for the competitive advantage. That's the easiest way to fix the problem. The only problem is you need to find things that are enticing enough to spend money that won't give you any competitive advantage in the game. Do I think it's going to happen? I hate to be pessimistic. No, I think there's always going to be a decent paid component in Clash Royale. There always has been. Since day one, I hate to say it, but since day one, Clash Royale was more pay to win than it is now, So it's actually gotten a lot better, even though it doesn't feel that way. And it's a bad timing to say that. I realize that after that update, but it's true too. Does Supercell actually listen to us? Seriously. And how can you stay positive? Supercell needs to give you a raise, bro. Supercell's not paying me anything at all. And I don't think they would want to give me a raise after what? Like I said, 9 out of 10 of the last videos have been critical of the update. I wouldn't say I'm positive at all. Frankly, I've gotten a lot of comments lately, and these really pain me about like, Ash, you're supposed to be positive, man. Like, you're supposed to be like good vibes. Why are you hating so much on every video? Kind of like that very first comment of the entire video, right? So I don't think I've been so positive, And do they listen to you? Yeah, absolutely. They listen. Do they take action based on what you say? No, not often, at least, once in a while. But there's no doubt about it. Like, I've gone there to the office, dozens of times. None since before COVID, but before COVID, I went like a lot to Helsinki, and I saw the team actually getting feedback from creators, from Reddit. I see them on Reddit, like on their computers, reading stuff, screenshotting stuff, sharing stuff in their Slack messages, in their teams about the update. Do you want to say hi? The little guy, it's a long video anyway. Look at this big boy. How old are you?
5.
And how old are you going to be in 2 months?
6.
And what's your favorite video game of all time? Zelda. Okay. Now, moving on. I'm finishing up my video. I'm almost done. All right, next, I just want to shout out the community managers. Their job seems like it's been awful lately with all the pushback against the recent updates. I hope they're taking care of themselves and don't let it get to them. They're good guys. I cannot speak to what that must be like every day, that mental going through having people scream at you. Like, they can't tweet about anything or talk about anything without getting constant hate. It just allows you to see, man. Some people, like, there's a big difference between constructive criticism. Constructive criticism means that it's criticism leveled to actually elicit some sort of a positive response, right? Like, rather than just insulting, doesn't work at all. It doesn't work. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I know it's just frustration. I also don't understand, really. Because it feels like they're just miserable, the people who just like insult them all day, And it's probably just the truth. Lava Hound next year, or maybe Elixir Golem, or maybe you had enough to a beat down. Lava Hound, maybe I'll do Lava Hound, all Lava Hound deck, all next year. What changes would you bring to Clash Royale knowing you're a businessman, understand the logistics of a business? Well, being a businessman, understanding the logistics of a business, I need to also see the back end, and I don't, so it's very tough to say what changes I would bring. One thing is I guess like in a macro sense, right, is sometimes you give the community a little tiny thing they want, along with something they maybe don't want. And I feel like sometimes they could just give a little bit more of a bonus of things that players really want, and that will help them overlook or at least digest some of the things they don't want a little bit more, That being said, I think that more communication is always a good thing. And I know these are like lame answers, more communication, who cares about that? But as they said in their own posts, as they said in their own Reddit posts, like they look at the data. How long are people playing for? How many new installs and downloads? What is the player retention? And what does the player spend? Like that's what they're looking at. And if all of those are going up or going in the right direction, then they're going to keep doing what they're doing because it is a business at the end of the day. So it's hard to say without having all of those numbers and stuff like that. I would say that they could do some really cool, like this low-hanging fruit, but like more interesting, compelling events. Right? Like they used to do all kinds of awesome hype events. I'm not talking about CRL for only the pros. I'm talking about they did like King's Cup 1, King's Cup 2, flew out content creators, thousands of players. They did Helsinki tournament. They used to have all kinds, like a really fun community vibe. And then if you weren't able to attend these events, millions literally would watch online, And those were really cool. I felt it brought... It is not a be-all, end-all. It's not going to change the game forever or make it amazing again. But like at the same time, it's going to bring the community together over something positive, even if for a short while, Another thing I would do almost instantly is, and again, this is not going to help necessarily on the business side, but I would do a weekly or monthly just straight up community Q&A. I know it's not easy to do, especially at a time like this, but I think that is the best sort of viewer engage or as player engagement you can do as a community manager, like live interaction on a routine basis. Allow people to feel heard, and yeah. All right, next. Aloha from Hawaii. What is your favorite part of Clash Royale in the very beginning? Man, the very beginning was so much fun, dude. So much fun. I love seeing every new card was an event. Every new card was fun. Everything. Legendaries being added to the game. The Princess and the Ice Wizard. Personally traveling, meeting other people all over the place. These were my favorite memories. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but all the traveling, all the live events. It was really awesome. And every update back then, when the game was in its infancy, it felt like, oh my God, this game is so perfect. This is like the perfect mobile game. I still think it is. I just think that buzz was there in the beginning that made it feel super special. All right, last question, guys. What keeps you coming back to Clash Royale? I know you said it was a perfect mobile game. I just said it again, right? It is not, as in it's not a PC or console game stripped down to fit to the phone. But what makes you keep playing this game? I've had my ups and downs where I play more or less, but the skill expression keeps me coming back. What is it for you? Thank you for the 6 years covering the game. Hey, same thing as you. I think that it's a very, very fair game aside from the levels. I'm just talking about everything's equal level-wise. It's like the precision on every tile really does. And plus the billions of combinations you can have as a deck. Plus, for every deck, there's viable counters, but not so much that you're automatically lost, despite what you'll say on Twitter. You'll see on Twitter, people saying that like hard counter, automatic loss. Nah, even pros against pros can beat somebody with a hard counter, like it happens in the CRL all the time. It does. So I think that the game feels very precise, right? Like talking about like old school games with hitboxes or new games with hitboxes, like mechanically speaking on the fundamentals stage of this game, both the possibilities of combinations really does. It's impossible not to compare it to like chess. And then from a sense of like just replayability, it's one of the best out there. Every match, at least to me, I'm locked in. It's a very difficult game to play and not really focus. And it happens so fast. It's a 3 to 5 minute match. And that just lends to the game's accessibility, right? So I think it is, in the perfect mobile game. To your point, it's the only mobile game that's had a high level success. Even Candy Crush or whatever, right? That's better on a mobile device than it would be on. It's not that their PC or console game stripped down to fit on a phone. Is that Clash Royale, if you put it on a PC or a console, it would suck. It's the tapping and the holding the device, like all this stuff. It plays into what makes Clash Royale so accessible and so functional from a gameplay standpoint. So I really do think that from a strategic level, from a functionality and accessibility level, all from a replayability level, all those factors, and a great IP, right? Great graphics, great design. I think that all of those make it the best game. And that's what keeps me coming back to the game. I think it's the perfect game to play when you're sitting on a toilet, which is a compliment, not an insult. Guys, there it is. It's a long Q&A. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Thank you to all of you guys who watched from the beginning of this video. Much love. And as always, take care, guys.